Fans can celebrate with a special deal at Walt Disney World. The Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Resort are offering a Champions package exclusively for residents of Pennsylvania or any New England state. States include Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. Fans will be given a $100 credit for a meal at any restaurant at the Swan and Dolphin. They will also be given a complimentary room upgrade as part of the Champions package. The offer requires a minimum of 3 nights and is available for stays through December 24th of this year. And those are the headlines from the source, WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM. What do I do now?
After 911, don't worry, call Fakuri. Fakuri Medical and Chiropractic, treating auto injuries for over 32 years. Same-day appointments, immediate medical attention, all under one roof. Don't worry, call Fakuri. Go to bestinjurycare.com. All auto insurances are accepted. Available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to take your call. Car accident? Don't worry. Call Fakuri. bestinjurycare.com.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
and fixtures and things like that, then you're putting all those things in the air too. So a bit of filtration, whether it be plant or a mechanical filter for the air, is going to be a benefit.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, and you hit on some of the main toxins. It says here formaldehyde, xylene, toluene, benzene, trichloroethylene, carbon monoxide. Let's see what else, and I guess that's basically it. But the plants included. Oh wow! Let me see. I don't want to read all of this here, but just to read things.
Right.
Oh my gosh, where is it? The chrysanthemums.
Okay.
Is that right?
Chrysanthemum. Okay. Within that family.
Yeah, the chrysanthemum, the peace lily, the Chinese evergreen. Dracanis, whatever that is.
Dracaena.
Thank you.
Dracaena.
And gosh, I thought there was another one here. I thought it said something.
There's probably Sansevieria, or also known as snake plant or mother-in-law's tongue. They use spider plant usually.
That is on the list. Yes.
Dieffenbachia, I think, is usually on there. I'm not sure if they still continue to have pothos on there, but pothos used to be a good one as well.
That is, that's on the list. Yes.
Yeah, and those are, the spider plant is a nice hanging plant or something you can put in a plant stand. They're just, a nice, attractive plant to bring in the house. Same thing with the Sansevieria. A lot of people have them. The peace lily is one that a lot of people, unfortunately, get during funerals, but it's a fantastic house plant that can actually get quite large, and it wants to be in the house, especially here with us in Central Florida. Our temperatures outside in the wintertime are just too cold for it. It doesn't like direct sunlight, so if you were to try to put it outside, it would need to be somewhere with extreme shade. But some people, when they start to get large, instead of keep transplanting them, think, I'll just plant it in the ground and hope for the best, which
right.
This year, if you had it in the ground, the best wasn't very good.
But I imagine that as when you're over at Lowe's and in the garden department, and somebody comes in and asks, like, let's say they read that article, they might read the article and they come in, and I'm guessing they're all full of questions. One of my questions would be, how much of it? I mean, how much of the toxins will actually be removed? I mean, is it just minuscule, or is it really?
It's you know what? I'm not sure the quantities or the percentage. That might be in an average home. If you have a little bit of a home an existing home, a home that's been around for I don't know, say 5 years or so, a lot of these chemicals should have dissipated by now, anyhow.
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a couple other lists that go around online, plants to bring into the bedroom for a better night's sleep, and it's like, unless your bedroom is really big and certain areas of it are nice and sunny, use a lavender bath soap instead of trying to bring it all in the house. We use for our infants and stuff who are cranky. You use a lavender bath soap to help them to relax and sleep better. You could do the same thing because it's not on that case of filtration. It is the scent. But any of them, bringing it in, if you have a smoker in the house that doesn't smoke outside, and even if they did, having some plants in the house does help filter some of that air that comes back in with them. I guess it does enough of a job to where I haven't heard that you need such a quantity in the home for the filtration to be effective.
Right.
If that's making sense.
Let me put you connect you to another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Carol Ann.
Good morning, Carol Ann. That was my question, was roughly approximately how many plants would you need to be effective in a home, say in a room or wherever, where if you mostly hang out. But the other question I have is, I'm assuming a lot of these plants would actually produce a little more oxygen. Years ago, not that many years ago, they were building houses that were very tight, and if you had everything closed up, you could drastically change the air quality in a home. And I was just wondering if you had any ratios there, because we all know what the South American jungle does in South America. It provides the world with oxygen.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering how that would work in the house. I'll hang up and listen.
All right,
Have a good day.
Thank you, Sonny.
Thanks for the call, Sonny. That's a really good question. I mean, it is true that, yes, plants take in the carbon dioxide and put oxygen back out into the air. To do a ratio, I'm not real sure. I'd probably have to do some research, but because most people have or people who are plant people, I guess I should say, do have a few plants in the home, normally in the main rooms that they're in, either hanging in a kitchen window maybe, some, especially this time of year, possibly hanging in the bathroom with high humidity and a bright but not direct sunlight area for some plants. Living room, again, the sansevieria, the peace lilies, some of the larger ones do well, the mass cane and things like that. And all of these will act as a filter. The peace lily and sansevieria are on that list and are larger houseplants, and so make a nice display in the living room, in that larger room. But a ratio on room size to plant material size, I'm not sure. I'll have to take a look into that.
But you know what I was thinking on this topic is that if you are talking about here in Ocala or Marion County, it's probably not that big of a deal. But in a bigger city where if you're living right outside your door is a constant stream of traffic, then the carbon, the plants that can absorb the carbon monoxide would be pretty helpful. I would think.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's why in a lot of the cities and a little more urban or metropolitan type areas where they try to put trees back into landscapes on curbside plantings and things like that. Even you say downtown Ocala, our square is planted with trees and things, not just because of the aesthetic, but it does offer, a break that helps to absorb that carbon monoxide, allowing people to be able to utilize that square area where it doesn't constantly smell like carbon monoxide, like car exhaust.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, and again, like Sonny was pointing out, you'd probably have to have a lot of them. But, I mean, if you have nothing else to... so do you think these are less effective or more effective than, like, a machine that might do the same thing?
A machine, of course, is going to, I would think, be possibly more efficient. But aesthetics can be the other, and the creating of actually creating oxygen out of the carbon dioxide is not something the machine can do. The machine just acts as a filter so long as you change or keep that filter clean. If you're not changing that filter, and then if you happen to get one that's a scented filter, well, then you're just putting another type of chemical back in the air.
Oh, okay.
We get lemon fresh air fresheners and then need to do something to filter those scents back out of the air because of the chemical that's in those.
Yeah, I guess it would be an interesting study. But it would just look nice, I guess, to have the plants. The plants would help it serve. And the one that takes out the carbon monoxide, just looking at the list, is the pothos one, the golden pothos.
Yeah. Which make a nice hanging basket, or they can be done, they do them up as a totem, which means that they've got a board in the center that's wrapped with moss so that it can grow up it, so it could be something that could stand vertically in a corner, or if you don't want to hang it from a chain from, say, the ceiling, you could also just put it on a tall pedestal and allow it to hang down also. And, they're very low care. Most all of these plants are what you might just think of it as very low maintenance.
They're easy. Somebody like I could take care of them.
Easy maintenance. And even if you were going to be away for a few days, they wouldn't be something you'd have to worry about a friend or neighbor having to come in and water if you were going to be gone, say, an extended weekend. Or even probably a week. If you watered them thoroughly, if they were not water stressed in advance, nice watering before you left, they'd be fine until you came back.
Let's see, 25 minutes after 9 o'clock. Gosh, we missed our break. We'll just kind of slide all the way to the bottom, I guess. And then there'll be a full half hour left. Remember, Carolyn does this show every Tuesday. It's a full hour long, meaning plenty of time to have your questions answered. Does tonight's little drop in temperatures mean anything, or is that just nothing to worry about?
No, nothing really to worry about. I'm not sure if it's going to stay as breezy as it is now. I'm not real worried about any frost settling. If you have some real tender things or plants that you've been carrying in and out of the house, if they're a little more cold sensitive, I might just bring them in. Just why worry about the stress to them? I think I have one little table I'm going to carry back in the front door tonight, only because they've been in the house for each of those cold spells, so they really haven't acclimated to any of the cold weather. But it's all going to be seasonal. I don't think we're getting that far down for any extended time. Of course, when I was looking at my weather page a little while ago, of course, I'm down in Lady Lake at the moment, so that's what it was giving me. And for them, it's only going down to like 40 for a few hours, and then it'll be heading back up once the sun starts coming up.
Yeah. So maybe just a little bit of a mild cold, and then back to normal, I guess. Sunday it shows some rain. Maybe Sunday will be the day for the third thunder in your world.
For the third thunderstorm. Let's hope we get the third one. I'm not sure what the groundhog's going to say. When does he come out? He comes out on Friday. So. Well,
which is more reliable, the groundhog or your three thunder theory?
My three thunders have been pretty good.
That's funny.
But it is.
When did you?
When did I first notice? I think it's probably been about 6 or 7 years ago or something that I like each time we'd have a bad, the few thunderstorms, and I guess I hadn't paid attention to the quantity of them until the last couple of years. But after that third one, we have some seasonably cold weather, which like tonight's going to be. This is seasonal. 40s, a little lower than that, but 40 is normal for overnight in January and February in Florida. It's in Central Florida. With highs in that upper 60s to very low 70s is normal temperatures. We're just hoping for the little bit warmer that we're maybe near 50 in the overnights and higher in the 70s during the day for the rest of the spring. But we all know spring will eventually get here, and we're just hoping for no more of that horrible cold from here on forward.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
So is it too early to cut down my banana plant?
I would hold off still. We still do have February to go. We have February to go, and that all of that brown that's hanging down is insulating that trunk. It is helping to keep that trunk from dying all the way to the ground. If it has died all the way to the ground, it'll fall over, or it'll be mushy when you go to start trimming things off, and then you can just either push it over or cut it down, cut it way far back.
Yeah. I don't know if this is...
anything you can hold off on pruning for another few weeks. Some stuff is trying to push up from the bottom. I think I've heard people telling me, rake some leaves over it if it's going to get cold again, but just don't prune anything.
I don't know if this is true for everybody, if it's just my particular banana plant, but it's a home for some very large ants. They just like to live in that thing.
Oh, yeah, the carpenter ants will get in there. It's nice and wet. The banana plant is just like solid water.
Yeah.
And so that's something they go after. Just be wary, I guess I should say, of any buildings that might be near it, because they will get into wood.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
Carolyn, let me put you on hold for a second here. We will take a little break, and Carolyn will be back in about 4 minutes. You're listening to The Source, WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump gives his first State of the Union address tonight to talk about his first year in office and goals for what's next. White House counsel Kellyanne Conway tells Fox and Friends
people will be very uplifted tonight. It's a very positive speech.
Scheduled to start at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time. House Intelligence Committee Republicans vote to release their memo, including classified information they say shows the Russia election meddling investigations biased against President Trump. Democrats say that memo is misleading.
Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, objected to the release.
A very sad day, I think, in the history of this committee.
Republican Mike Conaway says the panel's decision has nothing to do with presidential politics.
We are not defending anybody. This is about the process.
The FBI and Justice Department strongly oppose the memo's release.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland in Washington. Fox News. We report, you decide.
What happened? You used to go hours without visiting the bathroom. Now it seems like you're constantly getting up to pee. Listen, the makers of Super Beta Prostate are introducing a new wonder pill, Super Beta Prostate P3 Advanced, with 3 key ingredients that are great for your prostate. To celebrate, your first 30-day supply is free. Pay shipping and handling. Get P3 Advanced free. Call 1-800-215-9360. 1-800-215-9360. 1-800-215-9360.
When you're hiring, you want qualified candidates fast, and it can be hard to know where to find them. More than 3 million businesses use Indeed.com, the world's #1 job site. Whether you need entry-level or highly skilled employees, Indeed helps you find great talent and make the right hire. Indeed is offering new users a $50 credit to give their first job post premium visibility as a sponsored job. Redeem this offer at Indeed.com/promo. That's Indeed.com/promo. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Howdy folks, RL here for Dairy Queen again to tell you about what's hot and what's not. Dairy Queen has some of the best char-grilled chicken breasts on earth, as well as their chicken breast salad. And the burgers are exceptional, cooked on a real grill for the best flavor and less fat. And for dessert, blizzards are unequal. So personally, banana split is my all-time favorite. Dairy Queen Silver Springs, where we always treat you like kings and queens.
What do I do now?
After 911, don't worry, call Fakuri. Fakuri Medical and Chiropractic, treating auto injuries for over 32 years. Same-day appointments, immediate medical attention, all under one roof. Don't worry, call Fakuri. Go to bestinjurycare.com. All auto insurances are accepted. Available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to take your call. Car accident? Don't worry, call Fakuri. bestinjurycare.com.
The College of Central Florida is committed to being your first choice for quality higher education. CF has locations in Marion, Citrus, and Levy counties and offers more than 60 academic programs. Earn a certificate, associate, or bachelor's degree. With Florida's 2+2 program, a student can complete an associate in arts at CF and be guaranteed admission to a state of Florida university. CF is ranked number 13 in the U.S. for affordability, is military friendly, and offers a full student life experience. Make CF your first choice. Call 352-873-5800.
Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion, and learn how they can help you.
Okay, Ocala, it's time to put on those walking shoes and visit the best Camellia Show spectacular you've ever experienced at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. We're talking about 5.5 acres of blooming camellias, some more than 50 years old, with thousands of bursting multicolored blooms. It's free daily now through April, and you can get your own famous Bob Wine's camellias for as little as $9.99. A super buy and larger sizes are available. And say if you need to freshen up those azaleas, Bob has Ocala's best, budded and blooming red ruffles, still just $3.99. Other great deals everywhere, so don't miss this show. Bring your family, your out-of-town friends too, daily till 4, Saturdays till 2. Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. It's a spectacular on Southeast 38th Street in the same blooming place for 66 years.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's return to Carol Ann Baldwin down in Lady Lake somewhere in her car doing the broadcast today on my way of the phone.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a nice day to be out in your car. Are you actually eating lunch? How can you eat lunch and do a radio show at the same time?
No, I had a snack before I came out here. I just took my lunch break, my hour off the clock in order to come out and do the show. I'll have a snack sometime a little later.
in the ad we just heard for Bob Wine's Bob Houck, the announcer says, bring your family and your friends from out of town. And I was just thinking about that for a second. If somebody is visiting from a northern state or whatever,
right,
and they're saying, you know what, I'd like to live here, and then they want to get into gardening, I wonder if it's one of those things like when you first moved here, did you go through this period where you tried everything and then you decided, I'll take one of these and not one of these, and you became more particular about what plants you had?
I think a lot of people do that. I mean, my biggest interest in gardening actually came, minus my interest I had a little bit at home. I kind of got out of it some when I moved to Florida, and then when I moved up here to Ocala, my interest grew again from that. But I think a lot of people do. They want something that reminds them of up north, or they try to buy plants that are from or that do grow up north, either via email or mail order, or they bring it with them, or family sends it to them. And through trial and error, they find out some of those work, some of them don't. Some of them bloom at a different time of year. Just like for us, the pansies and petunias, snapdragons, we grow now. Up north, they won't be trying to put those in the ground probably till about April or May. So people ask, well, are these winter pansies? For us, they're all winter pansies. They won't grow in the summertime. So it's that kind of thing with that. But you do get a lot of people who come in and go, well, I've tried this, or I didn't know you could grow these here. So some of it's trial and error. Other times, like I say, learning, coming into someplace like Bob Wine's where you can actually see things in their camellia gardens growing, and that, and also the different festivals that go on. Marion County's Master Gardener Spring Festival, the one at Lou Gardens. Then you get the Kanapaha Gardens. There's always something going on. You get something going down in Bob Towers. There's garden shows through the different garden clubs in the communities. All different ways to learn about what will or will not grow in our area.
Yeah, and I guess that's one resource that we are very lucky to have. We have the Master Gardeners, the IFAS. I always am confused if that's the same thing or not. And then, of course, the nurseries like Bob Wine's, et cetera. And then, and not to mention your show, not to forget your show.
Right.
And we do have another phone call. Let's take that call. Good morning. Thank you for waiting. You're on the air with Carol Ann.
Good morning, Caroline. Stay warm in that car.
Oh, yeah.
Put the heater on. Say, between up north and down here, gardening and lawn care and the whole shebang, it's two different worlds. When I came down here, I had the idea that because it's not a long, hard winter and everything, it'd be kind of easier to do things. But it's much, much more difficult down here than up north, because basically up north half the year it's dormant, But down here you have so many insects and bugs and different things that you just don't have up there. And it's thank God for your program, because it's been such a wonderful help. But it's really a challenge down here to have things nice.
It can be, and people don't always realize that because we have multiple seasons that different things grow in, it's just not the same as up north. It's like you said, the dormancy is not there.
Yeah. Like, you know the expression that they use up there, there's two seasons, there's July and winter. And it's just a different. The reason I called you, I was thinking about Larry's apple tree. Now that apple tree has been inside, and let's call it being babied, and eventually, sometime, that tree will have to be probably put outside because it's going to get big enough, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now that tree has never been through a freeze or a hard freeze, and because it's been an indoor tree, would that tree be subject to maybe dying?
Only on the first season. After that, it should be able to acclimate. And even on that first year, if it was planted in spring, come the next winter, it will have got itself established in its location, and the temperatures should be something it can deal with.
Yeah. Should that be reestablished outside when it's fairly young, or can you wait till it gets so big that it has to go out?
Well, being Larry's tree is only about 6 inches or so, it has a couple of years that we can enjoy it inside. But yes, if it were one that was, say, 2 feet, I'd put it in the ground.
About 2 feet, huh? Yeah. Well, let's hope that Larry's around long enough so that he can enjoy some apples and apple pie from that tree. It'll be kind of neat to have him do that.
Oh, sure. And I think that this year we'll make sure it gets some good fertilizer and get it up and growing further.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll sleep better now, knowing that Larry's little apple tree will be okay.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, thank you. Appreciate the call. Yeah, and my apple tree could hear you, by the way. And he was a little bit upset about the idea that it might not survive. So just so you know,
that it will have to go outside one day.
All right, let me take another call. Good morning. You're on the air with Carol Ann.
Good morning. Can Carol Ann comment? Is it possible to find Rosa Sharon here in Ocala and then plant it? And thank you. I'll listen for what you have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the call.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Yes, Rosa Sharon does fine here. And yes, the nurseries sell them. It's probably not going to, they probably won't show up in the nurseries until, I don't know, I want to say March, maybe even April. But they will show up in the nurseries, both all the big box nurseries as well as the independent nurseries that are around. They'll have them, and they're easy to grow. So if you had a friend or family member with one, you could do cuttings, but you're not going to do your cuttings until after they've begun to put on good growth. For this year, and so you're looking at probably June to do any cuttings from them. So you should be able to find them, I want to say late March or 1st of April, you should find them in the stores.
So when you talk about a plant that has a variety that is like the same family, but the variety grows better in Florida and the other variety grows better in the north, is that just, is it just the same plant that has evolved to fit better into Florida, or what
like when you have a non-native species that you talk about all the time,
Right.
do they become native species eventually? I mean, do they start to become part of us?
No, they become acclimated, and we either differentiate. That we consider them exotics when they're not. I think to be a native, it had to have been in Florida before the Europeans. Is where that designation comes from.
Oh, okay.
It may not have been. It may not have been native before that, but before. As long as it was before the European influence onto Florida. After that, we consider them to be an exotic, being a plant that's been brought in. But some can either be invasive, which we want to try to get rid of or minimize, or there's others that can be Florida friendly, that they tolerate without extreme measures to keep them alive, and that they grow in our heat, humidity, unusual winter, quantity of rain, etc., sandy soils, that they thrive without having to take a whole lot of additional care. Some of the plants that have been invasive have been hybridized in order to try to make them less invasive.
Oh, okay, on purpose.
Because they're a plant people like, except that the drawback is that they readily seeded themselves, and so they've done hybrids of them to where the seed is more of a sterile seed.
Oh, okay.
Making them more attractive to the homeowner because they're not going to be as invasive.
And we have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Carol Ann.
Hey, Carol Ann. Hey, what kind of plants can I plant now to make my house look pretty, like flowery? You talk about pansies and stuff, and is that right? How long will they last?
The pansies and petunias and such will go until we start getting consistently warm. And the rains generally kind of knock out the rest of it. So you're looking at April, May.
Okay.
You can still get a few months out of them.
So right now, if I had to plant it.
Say that again?
What would last through the summer if I had to plant something now?
If you had to plant something now, most of them would not go through the summer. Your perennials will. But to try to find those or try to get them established with this colder weather, I'd be a little hesitant just for the next few weeks.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and so when they only last a year, I guess you got to start in May. You said.
We have a couple of different seasons with these are the cool season annuals: pansies, petunias, dianthus, snapdragons. Those plants do well for us during this cooler time of year. Once it starts to begin to get warm, they're just going to gradually fade out, and people replace those with things like marigolds, vinca. There's quite a few different summer annuals, but those plants don't like the cold weather usually, or they won't get established in the landscape during the colder weather. You could put them in containers and things, but even trying to find some of those plants this time of year, you just may not find them. So.
Okay.
And those are the ones that will go through the summer. And those summer ones will go from, say, April all the way till October. Some people do go ahead and change some of those out during those growing years, just times only because they start to get a little tall, little leggy, or things like that. And pruning annuals doesn't always work. They don't always just flush back out and bush back out like a perennial. Now, the perennials you can put in, and again, I'm just a little hesitant. This winter has been hard, and a plant that's not established is not one that's going to tolerate the cold weather very well and come back too easily. So that's why I'm hesitant on putting any perennials in the ground right now.
All right, let's squeeze in another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Carol Ann. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning, gang. No problem. Carol Ann, I planted what I thought was a pink grapefruit tree several years ago, and it's now grown. It's probably 12 feet tall. It bore fruit for the first time this year. We fertilized it. But it's not a pink grapefruit. It's a white grapefruit. It has a very thick skin, and the skin is like very pimply. Did I plant the wrong tree, or is there something I can do to get edible fruit off it, or I'm perplexed?
Is the grapefruit itself not tasty?
Well, it tastes like grapefruit, but it's very, very tart.
Okay, it was. You say it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a pink grapefruit. Did this tree ever freeze?
I don't know.
How long did you say it had been in the ground?
Oh gosh, I planted it in probably the spring or summer of 2009.
Wow, and it took this long to finally get fruit.
Yes, well, I called you maybe a couple of years ago, and you told me that I had to fertilize it. I hadn't fertilized it prior to that.
Okay, because unless the graft that would have made it a pink grapefruit died off, and that it came back as the rootstock, it should have been pink. So it could be it was a mistaken identity on its tag, and that you did get the wrong grapefruit, because sounds like that might have been a Duncan or a Marsh, but a white grapefruit, which they are a thicker skin, or you ended up with are they massive, like, or shaped like a football, more than round?
Yes.
That sounds like it's a pomelo.
Okay. I'd even say that they're more like pear-shaped.
Pear-shaped. Okay, so but very large. It sounds like a pomelo, and they are more tart, more sour, but still with that grapefruit flavor. Some people love them. They're not one of my favorites because of that as well. I think that's what you ended up with was a pomelo, possibly a mislabeled.
Yeah. Okay. So it's probably best for just juice or something like that, because they're not very good for eating because they're so sour.
Right. Yeah, and the juice, you're probably going to end up adding a little bit of sugar to it.
Right. Well, we can do that.
Mixing it with other fruit. Mixing it with some other fruit just to use that juice up.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for taking the mystery out of that for me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Wow, great call. Hey, and thank you. Yeah. One thing I wanted to say is that Carol Ann has a Facebook page called In the Garden that you can use as a way to take photos of your plants, your fruit in this case, and show everybody. I'd love to see what that looks like.
Yeah, if he wants to take a picture of it, and even a picture with the tree being 9 years old, taking 8 years to fruit, which is quite a while. It makes you wonder, especially with the mistaken identity from a pomelo, which I think there's even pink pomelo. So, either cut one in half long ways, put some pictures on the In the Garden. We'll gladly, show others as well.
Do you know what's disappointing, though, is that when you buy something and you can't figure out that it's the wrong thing, it's mislabeled for 2 years. You have to wait 2 years. Wow, that's crazy.
Well, he waited 9 years.
That's right, 9, yeah.
9 years to find out it was the wrong one. Well, that was the same thing several years ago. Had gotten some tomato plants. It was like a little 6-pack or something like that. I think picked up a couple of different ones, and thinking I was getting 2 or 3 different varieties of plants, like 3 plants each of 3 different varieties. Come to find out, I had 6 of one, and I had more cherry tomatoes than I knew what I could do with. Because one of those tags was wrong.
I saw tomato plants for sale at Publix. I thought that was. I had never seen that before.
Yeah, they're probably starting a little bit of a Bonnie add-on too. We've got them also. It's too cold. It's something you're going to put in the house. I sure wouldn't put them in the ground. Put them in a pot. Keep them on a patio where you can move them in if you need to, because temperatures below 32 degrees are really going to knock them back. And so I wait to put tomatoes in the ground till at least. I've pushed my luck and put them in like that first week of March, and then every time you hear a weather report, you're saying a prayer.
Yeah, really. So will they grow to normal size once if you keep them indoors?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure they will. Yeah. Yeah, and once the danger of frost has passed, you can put them out. I just wouldn't be counting on something that would be going in the ground. Right yet. If I was going in a container that I could move, okay. But if I was going to do, go something in the ground, I'd be putting that off.
We got about 4.
Wait till spring.
We got about 4 minutes left in the program. Carolyn has spent her entire lunch hour on the phone in her car doing the radio show, and we just appreciate it so much. Just so you know, so another couple of minutes if you want to squeeze in one last phone call. The number is 622-9622. So now I have to worry about my apple. I wasn't worried about it until you called. Now I'm worried about it.
Don't worry about your apple tree. But Larry, you were kind enough that during our one break there, we had the caller that was questioning about the mushroom workshop that was coming up. And it is, and you looked up the information for us so I can share it with everybody else. And it is on Tuesday, March the 27th from 10 to 2 p.m. And it's pretty much everything you need to know about how to grow your own mushroom log. It's the shiitake mushrooms that they'll be doing, and the cost was $65 per person, and that includes getting a log that is prepared and ready to grow on your own. You can register for this event directly at mushroomproduction.eventbrite, and they can take your payment and everything through Eventbrite. If you have any questions, though, you can call over to the Extension office at 671-8400. And also I know we're still got time out. We need to make sure everybody's got their calendars marked for the Marion County Master Gardener Spring Festival. If you have friends or family in town from out of town, because March, sometimes we do still get some of our northern visitors. It's always the second weekend in March, and this year it's March 10th and the 11th. That's the same weekend that the clocks change. So here you can mark your calendar for your clock change and all of that from 8 to 5 and 9 to 4 respectively. And we have many different seminars that go on either in the auditorium, in the garden. Master gardeners are abounding throughout the area to ask questions of. The vendors, the nurseries that are represented there are all very knowledgeable on what they're carrying and how to grow in our area. And, there'll be native plants, tropical plants, trees and shrubs, plenty of food. We got the big, all the food trucks that are out there. There'll be flowers and herbs, vegetables, demonstrations on bird and butterfly gardens, micro-irrigation, vegetable gardens. This year it looks like we got some alternative fruit crop, growing gingers, growing Vanda orchids, African violets, birds of Central Florida, all kinds of different, and some new programs going on with this year's festival, including pruning crepe myrtle, so that we don't so that we don't repeat and continue with the crepe murder that goes on every year. Starting about 1st of February when they just get the chainsaws out.
All right, we got like a minute left. Let's squeeze in one final phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Carol Ann.
Good morning. This is Kathy. I just have my 2 cents. The gentleman that called in that wanted to make his yard look pretty, tell him to try dianthus. I mean, it usually goes year-round. I don't think we're going to get any drastic, like you said, weather.
Right.
And as far as the crepe myrtles, you know my feelings on that.
I know. Leave them alone.
I blame the lawn guys who have nothing to do during the winter, and all I ever hear from them, if we didn't cut them, we'd have nothing to do. Stop the practice.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no. Thank you, Kathy. And Caroline, thank you. Thank you for doing the show,
Larry.
as always. I know it's not always easy, and we want you to know how much we appreciate the fact that you do this each week. Thank you, Caroline.
All right. Thanks, Larry.
All right, we will be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370
Fox News Radio. I'm Chris Foster. President Trump delivers the State of the Union address tonight, his first. Some Democrats in Congress plan to skip it. And White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders says about the president's opponents.
Their message is one of negativity and, frankly, I think a little bit of delusion.
She was on Fox and Friends. 3 big companies are starting their